Hello and welcome back to our Mail and Guardian Community Impact Series. I go by the name of Ikia Ngube, and we're talking all things good governance in the public sector. Today we are joined by Commissioner of the National Lotteries Commission, who goes by the name of Jodi Scholtz, and we're unpacking the organization strengthening ethics, transparency, and accountability as part of its governance renewal journey. Jodi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Kia, for having me.
Let's get straight into it. Governance and ethics are central in terms of public trust. How would you describe the NLC's governance framework and what it seeks to achieve?
So our governance framework is based on our values, integrity, accountability, transparency. But it's also aligned to the Public Finance Management Act, our National Lotteries Act, our Code of Conduct, King 4.
Yes.
But what this practically means is we've had to go and revise our policy framework. We had over 100 policies. We're now sitting at about 80. I know, still a lot, and we're a small organization. We're 386 people. And so it's part of our continuous improvement journey that we whittle that down as we go forward. We've also had to look at some of our internal controls.
Yes.
Many of the forensic reports, the audit reports have indicated that there were gaps in terms of our internal controls. So one of the things, for instance, that we've had to do was to embed an inspectorate unit. So these are individuals who actually go out to determine, does the project exist where it says it is?
So basically integrity, which comes, as you mentioned.
Yes.
And let's talk a little bit about why key governance reforms or actions has the NLC, what key governance reforms or actions the NLC has taken to strengthen accountability and, of course, rebuild confidence.
So the inspectorate function has been critical tool that we've had to deploy. We've also looked at our monitoring and evaluation. We now do it on every single project that we fund. We also have a non-compliant grantee process. It's kind of split into two. One where people don't comply because of some administrative reason. They don't submit a progress report. And there we work with the grantee in terms of understanding what help they need to get that done. Where it's fraud and corruption, there's a zero tolerance attitude and approach that we take. It gets handed over. We engage with law enforcement. What we've also had to do is look at our accounting and our financial management policies and procedures, and ensure that these are strictly aligned to the PFMA and to the generally recognized accounting practice standards. We've also been able to automate our grant funding processes. So we have a system, it's called Tutuka, which we started last December, and it was part of the call that closed in May.
And the automation, how has that been? How have you seen the feedback with the automation?
It's been patchy.
Okay.
We've had some very strong complaints about the system. One of the complaints, for instance, has been that the system buffers. So in unpacking and looking at the reasons why that's happened, we then picked up that there's a problem with coverage in the country. So Tutuka operates on a 4G platform.
Okay.
And in many of our rural areas, it's 3G.
Because they're still lagging behind.
Right. And so we've had to, we have a new CIO on board, and she is now talking to all of the big telecoms players so that we can ensure we look at coverage. But what we've had to do is we've had to send out our provincial teams to areas in communities to say, this is where we're going to be. Please come in and bring your registrations. So typically in the past, we'd get about, say, 9,500 applications.
Yeah.
In the last call, we had 16,681.
Because of that access that they can literally have, the access they have at home, basically, with internet access. Does it cost them anything?
So you need a bit of data to get onto our website, but once you transact on our website, it's zero rated.
Okay.
And so that's one of the, the initiatives that we've implemented.
That's beautiful. And let's talk about how the NLC ensures that governance principles are embedded in daily operations and not just as policy level.
So we've had to, what you can't, if you don't measure it, you're not going to be able to achieve it. And so what we've had to do is embed our values with behavioral indicators into each person's performance agreement or contract. We've also had to look at doing awareness sessions for all the colleagues. So we conduct regular ethics awareness sessions. I do a quarterly session where I talk about quarterly performance. And in that, we also then embed ethics and awareness about ethics, integrity. This is our code of conduct. Our internal audit and our risk management units, we've implemented combined assurance.
Okay.
And what that's effectively done is that they look at areas. So Vincent would go out, for instance, Vincent's our chief audit executive, he'd go out and do an audit and he'd pick up a range of issues. He then feeds that back into the organization, and we then take this and say, listen, these are the things that we're picking up. Molemo then also, he's the chief risk officer, goes and assists. And so in that way, we are able to educate and raise awareness. And so in quarter one, we've been able to save about 1.5 million rand in terms of fraudulent applications because of this awareness.
What happens to the people who are out here committing fraud because they're thinking that the guards don't see them?
We act very decisively.
Okay.
We open a case at the police station. Our audit team meets very regularly with the DPCI. Please don't ask me what that means.
No.
It's the Directorate for Priority Crimes. And so any crime above a particular amount, we have to report it.
Okay.
And so they have regular engagements. We meet with the police commanders very often to say, what's the progress in terms of these cases?
All right, that's beautiful. Accountability, responsibility, transparency is something else that I'm hearing as well. So we are talking to Jodi Scholtz, who is the Commissioner of the National Lotteries Commission, and we're unpacking strengthening ethics, transparency, and accountability as part of a governance renewal journey. Jodi, let's talk about leadership and public trust now in terms of how the NLC's leadership is working to rebuild public trust, not just internally, but externally as well.
So we've been able to really bring on board a solid executive team. There were quite a few vacancies when I joined.
Okay.
And so I've had to fill those vacancies. We are still in the process of filling more vacancies because we've got a new organizational structure, and there are some critical vacancies, areas that we felt we really needed to bring in that didn't exist before, so kind of new roles. The automation that we've embarked on, our modernization journey, also talks to the role that leadership has to play in terms of understanding what our beneficiaries want and need. And so our system is key to us, helping us identify, for instance, what are the gaps in our funding. So we're looking at GBV, and we're seeing an unfortunate pattern that there isn't a lot of uptake, despite it being a national pandemic. And so these are the areas that we really need to look into and zone in. And we can only do this once we have data.
That's
true. And you can make informed decisions based on data.
Okay. And also, what message would you like South Africans to take away from NLC's governance today?
So the NLC is committed to doing the right thing, but we're also relying on all of you, the public, to help us on this journey. It's a journey that we can't do alone. People in communities know and understand when things are not done right. And so please report that. We've got whistleblower, we've got a hotline that's been stress tested, it's independent. Even if my hand, unfortunately, and touch wood, is not in the cookie jar, is in the cookie jar, there's a way in which that can be reported and investigated. Okay. So we rely on the public to act as a partner to the National Lotteries Commission in this journey of ensuring that our funding gets to the right people at the right time.
So it's not just a sense of accountability and transparency and responsibility, but it's also a sense of ownership for the communities themselves.
Absolutely.
So Jodi, thank you so much for taking the time
to
sharing all of this encouraging information about how the NLC is really actively going ahead and strengthening its governance systems and, of course, reforming its role in transparent, accountable as a transparent and accountable institution. Any closing remarks for South Africa?
The NLC remains the funder with soul.
As you heard her, she said that the NLC remains the funder with soul. Thank you so much for joining us. Kia Ncube is the name. Please do make sure that you keep yourself and others safe.